Who pulls the strings of nations and who has the most to gain from all-out war? Well, let's hop into the pages of Dark Knights of Steel issue number 8 and maybe find out the answer to this question, shall we? So then, as we join the issue, Queen Lightning, daughter of the former King Jefferson, finally makes landfall in the Themyscira to have herself an important meeting with Queen Hippolyta. The two are now allies who plan to march on the Kingdom of Elves and receive their long overdue revenge, though they do so with very heavy hearts, the both of them. It's very clear that all these high-profile deaths amongst royalty that have been suffered over the last couple months haven't exactly been what it seems, but not everyone is quick to pick up on this. Lois Lane, advisor for the Kingdom of Amazons, attempts to get Constantine, advisor for the Lightning Kingdom, on her side, but unfortunately he's much too stubborn to hear it. After all, Constantine blames himself a lot over what happened with Jefferson and his son the Prince, and because of that, well, he's going about it the most violent and self-destructive way possible, aka the Constantine way of doing things. Now, while most of this issue deals with the war between nations, there's actually a fun little development that happens in the prison of El. We see the meet cute between Oliver Queen and Black Canary. They compare their crimes, you know, a little deicide, a little regicide, a little yelling a little too loud. And they figure that between the two of them, using Dana's amazing Banshee scream and Oliver's amazing ability to aim weapons, they could very well escape while everyone else is fighting. Of course, the fighting hasn't actually begun yet. The Elves are still doing everything in their power to try and pursue a diplomatic end to this conflict. They've sent General Waller and Harley Quinn to meet with the other two invading queens to say that even though they're very angry right now, even though they've marched their armies all the way here, there's still no way they're going to be able to beat the Elves. They are gods, after all. Also, it might seem silly at first to send Harley Quinn to try and pursue for peace, but then you're reminded that back in the Dark Ages, this is exactly a job that jesters would have to do. Half because they were generally learned and clever and could probably make some magic happen with their words, and if they couldn't and they were captured and killed, who cares? You can always find another jester elsewhere. The Queen of Lightning and the Queen of the Amazons turn down these last efforts at diplomacy, but they do allow Waller and Harley Quinn to leave because, well, that's just the upright, honorable thing to do. This royally pisses off Constantine, though, who thinks to himself, geez, are we fighting a war? Fighting a war now. That's their general and their chief advisor. Let's kill them with magic. Of course, what John Boy couldn't possibly know is that the Hob Woods that they're walking in right now just so happens to be home to a forest witch, Poison Ivy, who loves Harley Quinn very much in this universe and any other one. They thought it was just the army of the Elves that stood between them and their revenge, but it seems that Poison Ivy might be able to decimate the entirety of their forces before they even reach the castle. However, Hippolyta and the others end up getting the most unlikely of assistance in the form of the Green Man. Yeah, the Lex Luthor Joker Sinestro hybrid, who is out of this story just long enough for you to forget that he even existed at all. It's heavily implied that he was the one pulling the strings behind all of this warring and fighting. But now, here at this late juncture in the story, I think it's very obvious that he was meant to be a red herring, or green herring as the case may be. Now, back at the Elves Castle, General Waller takes up arms with her archers to try and defend the place from the incoming attack, and why yes, before you even have to ask, one of the archers is most definitely modeled after Deadshot. What's interesting is that Waller and her men had to actually fight the Queen for the opportunity to defend the castle. If it was up to Laura, she would have just gotten involved herself. She says it was because she didn't want her own people to get hurt, but keep all this in mind because it's going to take on a whole completely different dimension by the time all of this is said and done. Once Hippolyta and her armies reach the gates of the Elves Castle, though, they're met not by an army, but instead met by Wonder Woman and her lover, Princess Zala. Wonder Woman has sworn to protect the El family at all costs, and I mean, really, it makes sense. She loves Zala, and despite what we, the reader, have seen, Zala has seen nothing but good and pure and moral and upstanding, certainly not like someone who would kill a king and his son. Yes, there's definitely a force going on here that no one else is seeing, but what Zala isn't seeing right now is actually the Prince of Lightning, Jefferson's son, at the behest of Constantine, using his amazing meta powers to drown Zala where she stands. This, of course, goes against everything Queen Hippolyta had tried to do with this invasion, knowing full well if they take over this new country, they're going to have to govern it moving forward, which is much harder to do when you kill beloved members of the royal family. It's right here, once things get at their absolute tetsis, that Laura steps on in. And you're thinking to yourself here, well, yeah, okay, everyone here here is pretty even-headed and no one really actually wants to fight. I'm guessing they can just talk it out, right, before things get too bad. Unfortunately, as the comic comes to a close, Laura ends up absolutely incinerating Hippolyta with her heat vision. Now, was this because the Amazons had taken Clark, her son, hostage, or is there something much deeper and more sinister at work here? I'll let you be the judge as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Dark Knights of Steel issue number 8, everybody, and I gotta say, even after the long wait in between issues, picking up this one was still a lot of fun, and my passion for the series was very quickly reignited. There's just so many cool takes on so many classic characters. It's great to see people like Hippolyta actually get to play wartime queen. The mystery of who exactly is pulling the strings and who actually has the most to gain from all of these different nations going to war still is a very tasty and very chewy topic. Personally, I think this issue seeks to imply that maybe Lara had something to do with Jor-El's death, and I mean, it makes sense from a Game of Thronesian kind of way. Maybe she didn't want to take over the kingdom, maybe she didn't want to start a war, maybe she just wanted to bump off her cheating husband who was about to make his bastard son king. I mean, it would make a lot of sense, right? And it would also make a lot of sense how everything just spiraled out of control from one woman's jealousy. Overall, I'd give this one another very positive 8 out of 10. Good stuff. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.